Picture it. You're doing all the right things this week to lose weight. You're tracking, you're staying within your calories or your Weight Watchers points, you're eating more vegetables, you're saying no to that nightly bowl of ice cream or passing up the fast food that you used to eat for lunch. It's time for weigh-in day. You step on the scale and what happens? Not only do you not lose weight, but you look and you see you've gained 2 pounds. What do you do? What are you thinking? What's going through your mind? Share in the comments. What are you thinking and what's going through your head when you see that you've had a gain, even though you've been doing so many things right for weight loss? Well, I've got to tell you that what I'm about to share in today's video, this is some honest, real, personal sharing. This is vulnerable. It's not easy for me to put this out there. But the truth is, I've had some gains lately. Even though I've been maintaining a 100-pound weight loss for many years, my weight's been going up a little bit lately. And this last week, I saw a number on the scale that really had me pretty concerned. It was a number that I hadn't seen in a long time. And it's hard for me to share that, but on the other hand, I've always wanted to be honest with you, and I want to walk through this with you, the process of some of the things that I think and some of the things that I've learned and some things that really help me to stay on track even when the number on the scale is not exactly what I would like to see. I'm Sarah with The Holy Mess, and I'm maintaining a 100-pound weight loss. And I want to make sure that I tell you that the strategy that actually helps me the most is what I'm going to share at the very end of the video. So make sure you stay tuned for the whole video, because the last strategy is the one that has had the most impact for me over the last few months. So tell me again in the comments as we go through this video. I love to interact with you. What you're thinking, what you've experienced, what you can relate to. It's so helpful because we're all in this together. Weight loss happens in community. Research shows that we do so much better when we have a community for support. I'm here to support you, and we're here to support one another. So I like to say there are some weight gains, and they're going to happen no matter what during your weight loss process. That's just the way it works. Because there's no such thing as a perfect eater. It's impossible. That's not our goal. There's some weight gains that are deserved, and there are some that are undeserved. So let's talk about the deserved first. I think most of us can relate to this. We've been doing all the right things, and then we have a week where we kind of blow it. We're on vacation, or it's our birthday, or it's our cat's birthday, or it's Arbor Day. Sometimes I can use any excuse. But I know why I gained weight during that week. I overate, I binged, I kind of went on a food bender, I ate out a lot. Whatever the reason is, typically I know. So when you know that it's a deserved gain, or even just a loss that feels too small, like if you only lost 0.2 or 0.4 pounds and you feel like you worked so hard, but you know the reason for that particular weight gain, the most important thing is to own it. Own up to it. Like, yep, I did that. The scale is reflecting that. It makes perfect sense, and move on from there. Create a plan. What am I going to do for next week to make this different? What am I going to do next time I have a similar situation to make it different? How is vacation going to be just a little bit better next time? Not to say you can't have any splurges, but maybe you can cut back on those a little bit, or whatever it is for you. So I would love to hear from you in the comments. When you have a gain that you know you deserved, how do you typically respond? I can tell you that in the past, when I first started losing weight, even if I knew I deserved it, I still kind of used it as an excuse to go off the rails. Like, well, if weight loss is going to be so hard all the time, I might as well just eat what I want. Or I've already gained 2 pounds. What difference does it make? I might as well just eat whatever it is that I want. Forget it. This is too hard. So the most important thing is to not let it derail you and to come up with a plan to own it. That's for a deserved gain. But what about when it feels like an undeserved gain? That's what we're going to spend the majority of this video about, because those are the really tough ones. A deserved gain is hard, but at least we kind of know what's going on. But what about what feels like an undeserved gain? You worked so hard, and yet you still have this weight gain. It seems so unfair, and it just seems wrong. Well, first of all, our bodies are complicated. And so you can gain weight Now that's different from body fat. You can gain weight for all kinds of different reasons. It can be how much you drank or how much you didn't drink. It could be that time of the month. It could be your bathroom habits. It could be because you ate something really salty, or you ate more processed food or fast food than you typically do. And so the scale is showing a weight gain. That's a weight gain. That just means your weight in pounds has gone up. That does not necessarily mean that your body fat has gone up, although it could, but it doesn't necessarily. So first of all, we just have to realize that our bodies are complicated. And unfortunately, the scale is not always going to reflect your habits and your hard work right away. But if you keep going, it will. One weigh-in doesn't really mean a whole lot. Kind of like one blood pressure reading doesn't really mean a whole lot, but we're looking for trends over time. Of course, if your blood pressure is like skyrocketed through the roof, you're going to need medical attention. One tremendously huge weight gain, we want to pay attention to that. But generally speaking, if you've got a few pounds up or down, it's really pretty normal for people to fluctuate easily within a 5-pound range, and some people within a 10-pound range. So this isn't something to be alarmed about. You want to look at trends over time. What is your trend over the last 6 to 8 weeks? Is it going down? That is the goal, is your weight should be going down over 6 to 8 weeks. So what if it's not? Even though you feel like you're doing all the right things, like there's no way you could eat any fewer calories or follow it any more perfectly. Well, first of all, I would love to hear from you in the comments. What do you do at those weigh-ins? When you feel like you have done all the right things, you have followed your plan so well, and you get on the scale and you see that you've gained 2 pounds, what do you do? Tell us about it in the comments. Do you feel like just saying, forget it, I give up? Because I know I certainly have. And you know what's interesting about that is whether the gain is deserved or undeserved. You notice how the reaction is the same. We want to say forget it and just eat. That's our toddler brain versus adult brain. Our toddler brain is saying, oh, just forget it. Just go ahead and eat. And I've got another video. I'll share the link to that in the comments about your toddler brain versus adult brain. But it's just a good idea to keep in mind. Something else I've thought about for myself, there have been lots of times in my journey where I saw that gain and I thought, this is so unfair, this is undeserved, forget it, I'm just gonna go eat what I want. And then I have a splurge week and I look back and I think, if I hadn't had that splurge week where I totally went off the rails, I bet I would have seen a loss the following week. Because sometimes it takes a little while for your body to catch up with what's going on. But because I totally splurged, I don't see that progress. So that's something to keep in mind as well. This is the thing about the scale. The scale is data. The scale is information. I want you to think like a scientist. Step away, take some of the emotion out of it, and look at it as data. Now, I know that that is hard to do. I know, trust me, I know we have such feelings about the scale, but it's just information. That's really all it is. It's just numbers. The scale does not care about you. Your worth is not your weight. And I want you to type that in the comments. Your worth is not your weight. What the number on the scale says is not a reflection of the person that you are. It's not a reflection of your character. It's not a reflection even of your willpower or your self-control. It's a number. The only emotion or feeling or even thoughts about that number are what you bring to it. So it's not about the number on the scale, it's about your thoughts about the number on the scale. Now, here's what I wanted to share with you that has helped me so much in recent years. And I will be honest with you that this is a little bit hard to take, but when you can own up to it, it's going to make a big difference. There's a truth about those of us who have food issues and weight issues. If you have a weight problem, you have a denial problem. All of us who have food and weight issues have some form of denial going on. So I want you to think about this. And it's possible that the gain that you had was completely undeserved. It wasn't anything you did wrong. You did everything right. And as you keep going, you are going to see a fat loss over time. But are you sure? Is it possible that there were some behaviors that you were doing that were contributing to a gain or not seeing a loss? If this continues over 3-4 weeks, certainly 5-6 weeks, that you're not seeing any weight loss, it's time to step back and say, you know what? I need to make some further changes. I'm having some denial about something with my food situation. I want to share a story with you, and I want you to think about this. What if it's possible that having that gain at the scale is actually a grace? It's actually a form of grace. One of my sons, when he was in high school, he actually stole something from me. Something small, but he took something from me. And a few days after this situation happened, I caught him. I knew that he did it. I told him I knew that he did this. His dad and I were going to give him some consequences. And we were processing through that with him in therapy a couple days later. So the therapist is talking to my son about this situation. He is, of course, sullen and not wanting to share anything with the therapist or with us. He's embarrassed that he got caught. He doesn't want to talk about this situation. And the therapist said to him, "You know what? I think that was actually God giving you grace." And my son was like, "What are you even talking about?" My husband and I even kind of looked at each other like, I don't think she quite knows what grace is. But she was right. She went on to explain, isn't it great that you can learn about stealing and the consequences of stealing and getting forgiveness and all of that in the safety of your own home? And wouldn't it be better for you to learn to be a young man of integrity who knows that it's never okay to steal and that's not something he's going to do? Wouldn't it be better to learn that now than to go out and learn that later in the world where you're going to end up in jail if you do that? And I don't know that my son ever really wrapped his brain around that concept, but it had a really big impact on me. I have thought about that so many times since then, and the way that I think God is actually giving me grace, even in these really painful times. So when I've been having some weight gain over these last few weeks, and especially this last week, the affirmation that I said to myself is, I embrace truth. And I encourage you to type that in the comments. I embrace truth. What if this weight gain that you've had or you've had in the past, what if it's part of God's grace? Because wouldn't it be better to see a 2-pound gain right now than to ignore it and then a few months from now have a 50-pound gain or a 100-pound gain? Have you gained and re-lost weight? I certainly have. I gained and lost 40, 50, 60 pounds many, many times over. And I can tell you during the times in my life when I regained, I wasn't weighing myself. I wasn't tracking. I wasn't paying attention. I was eating all the things. I was pretending that my weight didn't matter to me and that the weight gain didn't matter to me, but it did matter to me. It mattered to me very much. It mattered to me so much that I quit paying attention to it because it felt in the moment like looking at that number was so painful. I couldn't face up to reality. The only way I could cope with the pain of that regain was denial. So I encourage you to embrace the truth, to look at that gain as actually a grace. And the prayer that I pray during these times is, God, open the eyes of my heart. Show me where I'm overeating. Show me where I'm not really tracking honestly. And I have a saying, I commit to ugly tracking. You can type that one in the comments too. I lead weight loss challenges, and this is one we worked on at the last challenge, that even if it's ugly, we're going to track it. I commit to ugly tracking. Well, I can tell you that when I prayed that prayer this last week, God opened the eyes of my heart. These are some of the things that he showed me. And friends, I'm 20 years into this journey. I've been maintaining a 100-pound weight loss for 20 years. And what I'm about to share with you, that's why this is hard to share, but I'm being honest. These are some of the things that God revealed to me as I looked back on my tracker, my journaling, and I looked at what I had done last week. There were times that I ate past full, and actually pretty often. Sometimes it was just a few bites, sometimes it was a lot. There were times that I justified that overeating because I said, well, it's healthy food. It's protein, it's vegetables, but I was eating more than what my body needed. There were times that I said, oh, well, I think my body needs some extra calories because I worked out today, even though really my workout was like a 20-minute video and a walk. I didn't need extra calories, but I told myself I did. One of the things I said to myself is, oh, this one bite isn't a lot of calories. I also said, well, maybe I just need a little snack to tide me over while we go run these errands. I also had times where I measured something out, like nuts, mixed nuts, and while I was measuring it, I was eating some little bites while I was measuring, but I only counted what I actually measured. There were times that I took a handful of something when I was walking through the kitchen when I really wasn't hungry. I was just eating it for entertainment. And that's just in the last week. So when I started to embrace truth and get really honest, I realized that what I was complaining of as being an undeserved gain, it really was deserved. And even though in the past I probably would have said, oh, there's just something wrong with my metabolism. My metabolism is so slow. My metabolism must be broken. Well, hey, I just went through menopause, so I mean, it's not my fault. My metabolism slowed way down. There's obviously a hormonal issue going on. It wasn't any of those things. It's that I was overeating and I wasn't being honest about it. So tell me your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about a weight gain actually being grace? Are you willing to look at it honestly, to commit to ugly tracking? Are you willing to embrace the truth? I'm Sarah with The Holy Mess. Thanks so much for watching.